You know, it used to be out of the question to believe that a person who was paralyzed by a spinal cord injury could ever walk again.
But advances in technology are now making it possible. CNN's chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, has today's human factor.
Love stories like that. All right, this is our question of the day. In Florida, people are applying for welfare. People who are applying for welfare will now have to submit to a drug test. Republicans
addiction, right? So what happens next? I mean, if you're doing this as a cost-cutting measure and people truly are addicted to drugs, does the state then have to step in? I mean, is there a responsibility there?
One of the questions that I had was about children. So if you're getting an aid for dependent children or something, or a welfare benefit for a child, turns out if you fail the drug test, you can designate another adult to receive the money for the child. So that's how they would get around that.
All right, but again, as we said, the ACLU filed a challenge. It's the first of what people say will be a number of challenges to this. We'll see what happens, but we'd like to keep hearing from you about it. Send us an email.
The topic of drugs, there's a new report by world and industry leaders saying that we have lost the...
is denying it's behind a hacking attack, saying it's, quote, unacceptable to blame China for the hacking of hundreds of...
The Republican presidential race, that's what you call a hard left turn. He's going to make a formal announcement today in New Hampshire. Two hot topics in the world of politics. Karen?
My turn to start? All right.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Clean slate. Joining us from Portsmouth, New Hampshire this morning is CNN chief political set to announce today. Thanks to both of you. Appreciate it.
All right, Florida Governor Rick Scott says it's unfair for taxpayers to subsidize addiction. Those are his words. He signed a bill that will force people applying for welfare to submit to a drug test. Democrats slamming the law, saying the tests are an invasion of privacy, and the ACLU is filing suit against Scott's drug testing order.
So what do you think? It's our question.
Testimony yesterday in the Casey Anthony murder trial from the suspect's own brother, Lee Anthony. And, of course, the challenge for the defense is to get the jury to believe the claim that Casey Anthony says that Kaylee was never reported missing by her mother because she drowned in the family's backyard pool. He calls it a tragic accident that was covered up by her mother and grandfather. And they'll be back in court again today, this morning at 9 o'clock Eastern. You can watch live gavel-to-gavel coverage on our sister station, HLN. Allie?
What we saw on Wall Street then yesterday, the Dow losing some 280 points, as you said, after those dismal reports ranging from hiring to manufacturing, investors fearing a renewed economic slowdown.
And the next key barometer of how the economy is doing comes out tomorrow. That's the government's jobs report. Joining us now to talk about all of this, Ryan Mack, president of Optimum Capital Investment, your home, your largest investment. I mean, Ryan, we take a look at the numbers. Home prices down 5% in the first quarter versus a year ago, down more than 30%, they say, from 5 years ago. There's some back and forth over whether this is the
Ryan, excellent conversation. All right, we're going to be back in just a minute. It's 45 minutes after the hour. Stay with us. American Mornings are coming.
Apply for welfare will now have to submit to a drug test. Republican Governor Rick Scott signed 25 minutes past the hour right now as the nuclear crisis continues to unfold in northern Japan. There's also a potential danger when companies fail to properly maintain nuclear power plants anywhere in the world, causing contaminated water to leak into the environment.
And that happens more than one might think. Alan Chernoff reports that some are questioning why, in the United States, a nuclear regulatory committee isn't doing more to stop it.
Testimony in the Casey Anthony murder trial from the suspect's own brother, Lee Anthony, took... While Casey Anthony's attorney is claiming that Kaylee was never reported missing because she drowned in the family's backyard pool, and that everyone knew that, but that he called it a tragic accident that was covered up by her mother and her grandfather, Casey's father. Well, we'll be back in court again this morning, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. You can watch live gavel-to-gavel coverage on our sister station, HLN.
Coming up next on American Morning, we're going to discuss why being a geek may get you...
You know, not everybody in high school can be the cool kid, right? Not everybody can sit at the popular table, but, you know, at least according to our next guest, that may not be a bad thing.
You're right. And did you notice that at your high school reunion, the kids who were maybe nerdier than the others were the ones who were the big success stories? It's true. And why is that, Ali Velshi?
Yeah.
Were you a nerd?
I was not. I was definitely not the cool kids. And Alexandra Robbins has written a book. She joins us now. Searched this well, and you came up with some theories about, well, what are they, geeky, nerdy, just outside the circle? Tell us what you found out.
Well, here's a theory. I call it quirk theory, and I define it this way.
How do floaters' outcomes tend to be in business as they get older?
Well, floaters know how to get along with several different types of people.
Talk about, I mean, because a lot of parents say, well, what can I do? But one of the things, and schools wonder this too, and teachers wonder this too, you say that a lot of this circles around the lunch hour, the cafeteria, and the seating. That was really fascinating.
Yeah, there are a couple things that schools can do. One easy thing is
crowd, you perhaps didn't have to deal with all that much. Now with Facebook, you actually have more interactions even if you wouldn't normally hang out with that crowd.
Facebook is a game changer. I actually call it the online
Well, no, we asked who fits in the quirk theory. You mentioned J.K. Rowling, right? Rowling, she loved to read books, and she didn't necessarily, wasn't super social. And look who's laughing all the way to the bank now with the Harry Potter series, right? Well, it was great to talk to you, Alexandra Robbins, author of The Geeks Shall Inherit the Earth. Good stuff.
It's going to give a lot of people a lot of hope. It's a good theory, and you've actually got some basis behind it.
The thing is, a parent to convince a kid who's 13, 14, 15 years old that this is not your whole life.
Yeah.
There's going to be cool stuff that's going to happen to you. That's going to be kind of hard to break through on, especially in the bullying debate. Still to come, the weekend's right around the corner. Rob's going to stop by with the latest travel.
47 minutes past the hour. Look at your top stories this morning. Twisters tear across southern. Caught up on the day's headlines. American Morning is back in 60 seconds.